So let's get started in Algebra 2 now with Module 6. We're going to be looking at inverses and radical functions. So radical functions means that we're dealing with square roots, cube roots, things like that. So we're going to be looking at those kinds of things. So composition of functions. So we just have an operation that results of one function to evaluate a second function. It'll make sense once I think we get into the actual problems. So adding functions. So first thing that we're going to do is, let's say that we want to add two functions. We want to explain mostly the terminology on how we do that. So here is a graph of f of x plus g of x. We do write it a little bit differently than we're looking at that. But if we're adding those two types of functions, notice that we can kind of play around here. So notice here we have f of x, here we have g of x. And if we add them together, we get this particular one right here in the middle. So we can kind of see what's happening to the function. So it may not look exactly the same way in this particular case, but we can kind of get an idea of what's going on with that particular function. And I'm not necessarily going to have you be graphing these all the time. We might have a few graphs that you have to deal with, but since we're mostly dealing with a lot of lines, it should be pretty straightforward. Okay, operations on functions. So here we have some operations that we're going to be taking a look at. So number one is if we have addition. So if we have f of x plus g of x, we do write it a little differently. F plus g of x, that does mean addition. That just means we're adding the two functions together. If we have f minus g of x, that's the same thing as f of x minus g of x. Of course, if we're adding, it doesn't matter which order we add them in. If we're subtracting, the order is important because, of course, g of x is going to be negated. It's going to be negative, so it will make a difference on the sign. F dot. Now notice the big difference here. This is a dot, not an open circle. This is a dot here. So f dot g means multiplication. So that would be f of x times g of x. And f over g of x means division, f of x divided by g of x. Of course, g of x cannot be 0 because we cannot divide by 0. That's just terminology. That's just how we write them. And then this is how we actually do them. So we'll go into some examples as we go through this lesson plan. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to add and subtract functions. So the first thing that we're going to look at is here we have two functions. We have f of x equals negative 6x plus 5. G of x equals negative 4x cubed minus 3x squared. And we want to find f plus g of x. Okay, so that means we want to add them together. So we have, in this case, sorry, wrong one here. We do want to save that. Let me open up the right one since I didn't do that for you guys earlier. So we have module. There we go. Okay, so we have negative 6x plus 5 and negative 4x cubed minus 3x squared. So we're going to rewrite this as negative 6. Oops. No, I should come prepared, right? Negative 6x plus 5 minus 4x cubed minus 3x squared. So it's just like problems we've done before. Just put them in the right order. So we have negative 4x cubed minus 3x squared minus 6x plus 5. Always put it from highest degree to lowest degree. So there we have our particular answer. 4x, negative 4, negative 3, negative 6. Negative 4, negative 3, negative 6, and positive 5. So we have A. So that would be our answer. Okay, so we're good there. Okay, now we want to subtract them. So now we're going to do f minus g of x. And so if we come down here, same thing. So now we have negative 6x. Now here's where you have to be really careful. Plus 5 minus, and then we have a negative 4x cubed minus 3x squared. Notice I put those in parentheses. In this case now, I'm going to go ahead and do the subtraction. So I have negative 6x plus 5 plus 4x cubed plus 3x squared. Put them in order. So I have 4x cubed plus 3x squared minus 6x plus 5. So notice plus, plus, minus, plus. So now I have plus, plus, minus, plus. It looks like B is the right one. So we're going to check our answer, and we got that one right. So we're good there. Let's move on to the next one. So, and I am going to be doing some homework problems in this set. So we're going to have some stuff other than what we do over here. So multiply and divide. And I believe actually I'm going to do another addition before I do anything else. Let me just make sure. So yeah, so notice here we have in our homework, we have 2 of these. We're going to go ahead, and in this case, we're going to add and subtract. So this is from your homework problems. So this is good. That means you'll have done one of your homework problems if you follow through on this. So I have f of x plus g of x. Notice I don't have to switch anything out, so that would be my final answer. In this case, I have x squared minus x minus 5. So I'm going to negate both of those. So I have negative x plus 5. And then that would be my answer. Let me get that. Hold on. That would be my answer when I subtract them. Of course, remember the order is important, so we have to make sure that we're doing that. Okay, so then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to multiply and divide. So we're going to go ahead and get that done. I'm going to do that in the next video, so we'll take care of that next.